Welcome back to the game. Well, we talked about the biggest stories that came out of the elimination round of the UAAP, but now let's talk about the road to the finals for both the UP Fighting Maroons and the DLSU Green Archers. Well, still with us to recount the history-making moments is basketball analyst Diego Dario. Diegs, we're still here with you.
Yep.
Happy to have you here. But first, let's take on the UP and the DLSU, how they advanced and how they were able to shape their narrative through the semis. So let's start with DLSU. I want to talk about DLSU. I know earlier we talked so much about the La Salle University, but of course they lost to NU in round one. How important was this shift in their performance in shaping the narrative, like how they set the stage in coming into the finals?
I think what's important to take a look at that is how DLSU improved from that first round, losing to NU. Like they incrementally just got better and better as the game progressed. And I think that game against NU was the peak of their kind of like their streak. Because they didn't lose in the second round and they go up against NU, who's always a dark horse in the UAAP, and they just dominated the whole game. They shot the lights out. They were so confident in themselves. And I think, in the Final Four, it's hard to do that. Because sometimes in the Final Four, like all the people are watching, the lights are bright, but La Salle didn't crumble to that kind of an atmosphere in the UAP. And I played, luckily I played because of my teammates, they were so good.
Yeah.
Played in the Final Four and in the finals. It's really a different atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm so happy you could say that, by the way. I want to go back to every interview that we've had that involve a Jet Manuel in general. But I want to ask about UP in particular, because UP did something a bit historic that I don't think a lot of people realize, which is that they prevented Ateneo from making it to the finals for the first time in 7 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Lexi. You take a look at what UP has done and the way that they took care of business against Ateneo. It felt like it was business as usual, but at the same time, it felt like it was something that UP asserting their dominance in that Battle of Katipunan, at least for the meantime.
I think that moment where UP beat Ateneo and Ateneo not making it to the finals, it just goes to show how Ateneo set the standard for in the UAAP. 7 years in the finals is a hard feat. I mean, when Coach Tab came in, of course, like the way Ateneo played leveled up all the level of basketball in different teams of the UAAP. They had the recipe of how to win a championship in the UAAP. And then you see UP, you see La Salle, they're catching up with the way they play, team basketball, the talent and the recruiting.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, we take for granted how Ateneo was in the finals for 7 years and UP and La Salle finally, defeated that powerhouse team.
Yeah, I was going to say, you maybe have taken it for granted. As a Lasallian, we never took it for granted that Ateneo was always in the finals. Yeah, but let's now move on to the final in particular, because game one for UP, fantastic.
Fantastic. I mean, they won by 30 points. Everyone thought at that point that there's no way La Salle will come back from this. How can you bounce back getting beaten by 30 points by UP, one of the most talented teams in the UAAP? And I think that kind of showed how UP's at that level also. They deserve to be in the finals. But game 2, game 3, totally different story for these two teams.
Well, I was one of the people who thought that it would end at the second game at UP, and I'm so sorry, Pao, about this.
You of little faith.
But then we've got 11 players who stood out for that game 1 in UP, right? Who were those top players? I mean, we should also mention Francis Lopez, who got 15 points, who contributed 15 points. How was he able to contribute in that game well?
I think that game by Francis Lopez was big for him in his young UAAP career as a rookie in the finals and performing. He's going to remember that kind of a performance when he comes back to the finals, if they make it to the finals.
Yeah.
But, that's going to top a lot of his moments in the UAAP. But Harold Alarcon, Malik Diouf, they played a splendid job in the UAAP in that game 1 of the finals.
Well, you know what? Before we wrap this all up, I just want to remind everyone that it was La Salle who won the championship.
Yes.
And KQ
That's why we're going to talk about this.
Absolutely.
And there's no Ateneo.
Yeah, KQ had an incredible takeover in Game 3. But of course, we'll talk a bit about him later on because we got something special here as we wrap things up.
Right, Pao. Well, we'll wrap up our rewind with Diego's All UAAP 2023 starting lineup.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all the time. Download Pilipinas Live now.